It's been almost 9 months since a seemingly mild-mannered 20-year-old attempted to assassinate then-Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Remember that? I do. I remember that day I said to myself, how does a guy get on a roof 150 yards away and shoot at the former president and the leading candidate and contender to be the next president of the United States? That doesn't happen. 150 yards away, which anybody with a rifle like that kid used, I say kid, he's my son's age, any kind of just amateur shot could have made that shot from 150 yards away. And it's providential, and Trump will even tell you it's providential that that bullet did not kill Donald Trump that day. But it was only the hand of God that stopped it. Otherwise, we would not have a Trump administration today. We wouldn't be here. How does that happen? My position has always been on this, and those of you who are new to the show or don't know me, those who listen to me in Pennsylvania for years know, my position is this was allowed to happen. What do I mean by that? I can't prove that anybody was linked to setting it up. I don't know this 20-year-old who took the shot. I don't know anything about him, but I do know this. He was seen by many, many people in attendance at that rally, and people were calling up to law enforcement, pointing at the roof, saying he's up there. And he was allowed to get up on top of a roof at 150 yards and take an easy shot. That was allowed to happen. If I sent you to a presidential rally today in the out of doors, and I said, I want you to take a look at this whole thing. Here's where the president's going to be standing to speak. Secure this area. Now, you and I may not have the significant knowledge that we need to do it properly, like maybe Secret Service has, but there are some obvious things. Chief among them, I think we all understand, we imagine a day now, we have to imagine a day where somebody takes a rifle, some kind of firearm, and tries to shoot at the president, okay? And so you say to yourself, where could someone be to take a clear shot at this podium where the president's going to be standing? Wouldn't that be one of the first things you'd think if that were your job? Secure this area, make sure the president's safe. It literally would be the first thing I'd say. Okay, I'm looking around, well, there's a rooftop there at 150 yards. Somebody gets up there. That's not safe. We need to have that secured. Okay, tree line up there. Nobody can get up in those trees, right? It's obvious. It's childlike obvious. And yet this guy got up on a roof and took a shot at 150 yards. How? Here we go. We have no good reason why, writes the New York Post. Sources telling the New York Post the FBI has obstructed efforts to solve the mystery of why Thomas Matthew Crooks left no manifesto. Why did he do it? It's left local law enforcement as well as Crooks' former friends, classmates, and teachers very frustrated. Those who may know, Crooks' parents, Matthew and Mary, have refused all interviews and remain in their small 3-bedroom home, sealed off from the world like hermits. Neighbors say they only leave the house at 3 a.m. to buy groceries. By the way, why do we know nothing about that guy in Butler? Elon yelled out to the audience at the Conservative Political Action Conference last week, CPAC, before warning that FBI Director Kash Patel is going to get to the bottom of it. A veteran private investigator from Erie, Pennsylvania, was hired shortly after the fateful July 13th event at Butler's Farm Show to look into the Crooks family by a private client. And he tells the Post he believes a criminal network was operating with Crooks at the time of the assassination attempt, and it's still in existence and still wants to kill Donald Trump. Do you have any doubt about it? I don't. Do you think the cold was the reason we had the inauguration inside? I'm still not sure. We talked about that then. Doug Hagman, whose team of 6 other investigators have been working the case for 6 months, have been in the process, I should say, of interviewing more than 100 people. They've also conducted extensive geofencing analysis of cell phones and tablets not belonging to Crooks that were found with him at his home. The rifle range where he took practice, the rally at Bethel Park High School where he graduated in 2022, we don't think he acted alone, says Hagman. This took a lot of coordination. In my view, Crooks was handled by more than one individual and was used for this attempt. And I wouldn't preclude the possibility that there were people at the rally itself helping him. Hagman said one of the electronic devices geolocated with Crooks at several different places at the time of the shooting is still pinging today at Bethel Park High School. Crooks, perched on a rooftop at 150 yards away, opened fire onto the main stage in Butler minutes after Trump mounted it to warm up the crowd. He fired 8 shots, striking the president in the right ear, killing the rally-goer Corey Comparatore, as you know, and seriously wounding 2 others. The autopsy report indicates Crooks was pronounced dead at 6:25 from a gunshot wound to the head by a counter-sniper. Now, of course, Crooks was his body was immediately incinerated. No autopsy was done. Why? That's another great question. Hagman said he was personally escorted to the Butler County line and told to leave twice during the course of his team's investigation. The people who did so were either federal agents or some type of private security. He added, one can assist in an operation like this by omission or standing down. Hello? You hear that? This private investigator said, one can assist in an operation like this by omission or standing down. There are people still out there involved in this case that need to be brought to justice. What is Hagman saying here, folks? He's saying it was allowed to happen. That's investigator speak for this was allowed to happen. Omission or standing down. What he's saying is there were people, I believe by inference, on the inside that, yes, in fact, as I've been saying, allowed this to happen. FBI officials who served under President Biden assessed Crooks' phone, computer, and encrypted messaging apps in Belgium, New Zealand, and Germany, according to current National Security Advisor Mike Walls. However, they've been very tight-lipped about what they found. Representative from Louisiana Clay Higgins has also been investigating Crooks' assassination attempt for months, has not seen Hagman's geofencing data, but downplayed its significance. He tells the Post that he believes Crooks acted alone and there was no conspiracy. However, he also said the FBI continually obstructed his investigation. His report into what he calls the J-13 was published December 5th as part of the bipartisan task force on the attempted assassination. But the representative admitted, even after months of his boots-on-the-ground granular research, including exhaustive ballistics examinations, trips to Quantico, to FBI headquarters, and lengthy conversations with high-profile Pittsburgh law firm representing Crooks' family, he has only one theory. He thinks Crooks must have been on some sort of prescription drug that made him, in Higgins' words, go crazy. But the Pittsburgh County Medical Examiner strangely didn't perform toxicological tests for pharmaceuticals, or at least did not include them in the autopsy report. And even more oddly, Crooks' body, as I mentioned, was released to his parents 8 days after the shooting, and then it was promptly cremated. Thomas Crooks was a brilliant engineering student who was on a path to success, Higgins said, noting that Crooks had been accepted and was given a scholarship to Robert Morris University. He was scheduled to start in the fall of 2024. Something happened to make him go crazy. But terms like wild lunatic and incredibly calculating are not adjectives that any of the former classmates, teachers, neighbors, and friends with whom the Post interviewed during a week in Bethel Park used to describe Crooks. Instead, the people that knew him in this industrial mill and mining town just south of Pittsburgh said they were shocked and devastated when they learned it was Crooks who shot Trump. So, what do we know? We know that private investigators are saying, after all of our extensive research, he had help. This was allowed to happen. I believe it was allowed to happen. I care more about this than I care about Jeffrey Epstein. This is what I want Kash Patel to dig into.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.